channels. Right now, we have Ashish Kyal joining us on the show. Very good afternoon to you, Ashish. Thank you so much for joining us on ET now. And the first stock that you're going to talk about is HDFC Limited. How do you see this NBFC firm trading from here on? Do you see it outpacing the gains of HDFC Bank?
If you look at HDFC Limited, it has formed a double bottom around 2550, showed a very good bounce back from there, and looks like it's heading towards the level of 2,800 and possibly higher from here on. So the overall tone remains bullish for this stock, and we can expect it to be reaching the target of 2,800 relatively fast. And on the downside, the support for the stock is around 2,620 levels.
Okay, keep an eye out on those levels for HDFC Limited. But Vamakshi, you've picked out overall the paint segment as well. Ashish did highlight Asian Paint separately. But why is the whole paints pack in focus?
Well, absolutely, Vinny. All these stocks are in focus on the back of a channel check that came in from ICICI Securities, and what they highlighted is that demand for paints has remained strong in the months of Jan as well as Feb. They're in fact likely to see volume growth of 10%. It has recovered with every passing month is what they're suggesting post a deceleration that was seen in October and November 2022. They also say that the channel check suggests that there is an increase in the trade scheme as raw material prices have corrected. Paint companies have now passed on some benefits to trade while retaining some benefits. Companies are also focusing more on the premium segment. There was down trading that was seen last year, and that was mainly due to steep inflation. Now, there were no new products that were launched, and there were no new price hikes that have been taken since September 2022. And in fact, their advice to investors was to stay underweight in paint stocks. So with that, they have a hold rating on Indigo Paints, reduced rating on Berger Paints, and Asco Nobel actually is the only paint stock in their coverage with a buy rating. So as a result, we're seeing as all these painted stocks are in focus today.
All right, that is the paint counters and why are they in focus. Ashesha, why are the life insurance companies in focus then?
Yes, the entire pack is in focus, and that is because life insurance data for the month of February was released yesterday post market hours, where Indian life insurance industry has reported a muted 10.5% growth on a year-on-year basis in retail APE segment for the month of February. However, we have seen divergent growth trends between the private players and LIC in the month of February. HDFC Life, for instance, has reported individual APE growth at about 26.7% on a year-on-year basis, while total APE grew by about 21.1% on a year-on-year basis, largely in line with what the street was working with. Apart from this, ICICI Prudential has also reported in-line set of numbers with individual APE growth at about 7.3% on a year-on-year basis. Bajaj Life Insurance has also reported in-line growth. APE growth came in at 30.2% on a year-on-year basis. And lastly, LIC has reported numbers below what the street was working with. APE declined by about 3% on a year-on-year basis, while total APE declined by about 17.7% on a year-on-year basis for life insurance for LIC. So on the back of this data that came in yesterday post market hours, all life insurance companies are in focus in today's trading session.
Okay, keep an eye out on those life insurance companies. But let's move on and talk about Airtel. Now, Bharti Airtel is in focus on the back of a note that came in from CLSA. They are maintaining a buy rating given a target price of 1,015 rupees per share. What they believe is obviously Airtel is one of the leading Indian mobile tariff, is leading the India mobile tariff hikes, and similar patterns as November 2021 in terms of the hikes coming in. Now, they're seeing a pickup in terms of the postpaid subscribers, see highly favorable risk reward coming in for Bharti Airtel. So that's why they're maintaining a buy rating on the stock and a target price of 1,015 rupees per share. Keep an eye out on that. Bharti Airtel up almost 1% in trade.
All right, that is Bharti Airtel for you. But let's put the spotlight on Home First Finance then. This morning, yes, we did know that there will be a huge block deal in Gokuldas Exports. There was a surprise block deal that took place in Home First Finance as well. 7.8% equity changed hands in a block deal. Post that, the stock fell as much as 9.1%, which is more since November 2021. All final details is the fact that 68.7 lakh shares changed hands on NSE. This is what actually transpired to 7.8% equity. The names of the buyers and the sellers are not known as yet, but we will know this one in the evening when the data comes out.
Absolutely, keeping an eye out on Home First Finance as well. Let's move on and talk about Linde India on the charts. And Ashish, how are you looking at the charts for this one? Because when I'm looking at it, today the stock is buzzing in trade. Last week also managed to see good gains of 8%, and even in the last 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, it's seen an up move coming in. So is that here to stay then?
Yes, it looks like, because the stock is finding very good support around its 20 days average, bouncing back from there. Even today, when the broader market is moving down, Linde India has managed to outperform on the upside. So looks like the up move is here to stay, and this can be the third wave, which is very strong and fast, and we can expect a target of around 4,200 over near term. On the downside, the support is at 3,900, which is also the gap area. So as long as the support is intact, I think 4,200 and much higher levels can be expected in this stock.
All right, moving on. Vamakshi, Kalpataru Power, why is this one in the spotlight today?
Well, Charles, this stock is in focus after some fund action that has happened in this stock. Kotak Mahindra Mutual Fund has actually acquired equity shares of Kalpataru Power. They have acquired a nearly 5.8% stake in the company, and these shares were largely acquired via the open market route, as well as they were also allotted for the merger with GMC projects. So that is the reason why this counter is in focus. Kotak Mahindra Mutual Fund has more than a 5% stake in the company, and that is the reason why the stock is in focus today, with gains of around 1% as we speak.
Let's move on and talk about the metal space. Ashish, you track the sector very closely. You have picked up this full pack today. Why is that so? What is the news for you?
So Nifty Metal Index is the only sectoral index which is trading with marginal gains in today's trading session. Jefferies has come out with a note on the metal pack where they say they are seeing the recent underperformance in the metal stocks as a buying opportunity in the Indian metal space. Tata Steel is the top pick, followed by Hindalco. For Tata Steel, they've maintained a buy rating on the stock with a target of 145 rupees per share, indicating a 36% premium to yesterday's closing price. Apart from this, Hindalco is they also maintained a buy rating on Hindalco with a target price of 570, 40% premium to yesterday's closing price. They say Chinese economic data is showing some signs of recovery now. Steel prices are rising. China export steel prices are up 14% in the calendar year 2023, and they believe Indian steel spreads are expected to rise in the coming quarters. So on the back of this positive note that has come in from Jefferies, we are seeing some action coming in on all of these metal names.
Right, Ashish, coming to you, Tata Steel, we definitely had Ashesha highlight what Jefferies had to say on the metals side, but Tata Steel, do you think this one will stand out in the metals?
We can see some pressure building up in the metal space, but Tata Steel looks like showing some bottoming formation, gave a gap up opening and sustaining that in today's session as well. So looks like it's just about to give a breakout for a move towards the level of 115 on the upside, which is the big gap area. So I think the stock can move towards 115 level as long as the low around 105 remains intact. So the overall undertone remains bullish for me for this metal stock.
Let's move on and talk about Shriram Finance. Now, this one is in focus because there was a block deal that took place yesterday. 3.16% change of equity hands that was actually sold, which was worth around 1,449 crores. In terms of that, this was each share was sold at a price of 1,230 rupees per share, and the sellers were Dynasty Acquisitions as well as Arkai Acquisition as well. Now, in terms of that, these were private equity players they are subsidiaries of the Apex partners as well, and they offloaded most of their shares in the company. In terms of the buyers of the company, we had Small Cap World Fund Inc. as well as New World Fund Inc., which bought about 70 lakh equity shares in the company. So on the back of that, we've seen Shriram Finance is buzzing in trade today after the block deal.
Right, moving on, let's talk about the power stocks, and not only power stocks, you also had the other utility stocks also move in trade today, and this is because government has said they are preparing to tackle the potential surge in electricity demand during the summer season. This is on back of the outlook that the IMD has given that we have to brace ourselves for a harsher summer. Our Power Ministry has asked the state-run generator, that is NTPC, to operate its 5 gigawatt gas-based capacity to meet peak demand during the summer months of April and May. The government has already invoked an emergency rule forcing some plants running on imported coal to run at capacity. On back of this news, you had NTPC that saw an uptick about excess of about 2%. That was the highest level since November. You have Adani Green, Adani Transmission, as well as Adani Power that were notched at an upper circle of about 5%. CESC also seeing a good uptick. Torrent Power also seeing a good uptick on back of this particular development. Even Elara Capital also said that they believe that the power demand as well as consumption will increase on rising demand as we move towards the summer season, and they're expecting the peak demand to hit approximately 225 gigawatt this summer on account of expanding industrial activity as well as the rising domestic consumption. So you have power companies, all of them in focus.
Okay, power companies are powered up in trade today. But on that note, we're going to slip into a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more stocks. Market fatafat on ET now. Let's keep it going with all the stocks that are buzzing in trade. And Ashish, on the charts, how is HEG looking like? Is it the right time to buy this one?
See, HEG has been in a medium-term downtrend, but the downward pressure has reduced. We can see a very strong positive divergence with respect to RSI, and showing a good breakout in today's session. Also managed to cross that 20 days average after some time. So looks like the stock is reversing on the upside. We can expect it to reach towards the target level of around 1100, and on the downside, the support for the stock is around 970.
All right, moving on. Vamakshi Kirloskar Oil Engines. This one is an ET Now Newsbreak confirmed, isn't it?
Absolutely, Cheryl. When we look at the stock, it was in focus yesterday and continues to be in focus today as well. On Wednesday, we saw that the shares of Kirloskar Oil Engines rallied as much as 20% and settled at nearly 390 a piece, which is its 52-week high. Now, as we had highlighted earlier, there were talks of promoters divesting their stake in the company, and that has indeed transpired. We saw that Kirloskar Oil Engines promoters entities on Wednesday have divested nearly 18% stake in the company for 865 crores, and that has come in through open market operations. Now, the promoter and promoter group which actually offloaded the shares were the Kulkarni family, and buyers actually include Franklin Templeton MF, Nomura, Max Life Insurance Company, HSBC Mutual Fund, as well as Birla Sun Life Insurance. So that is the news flow surrounding Kirloskar Oil Engines, and unfortunately the stock is dipping in trade today after the stellar rally that it saw yesterday.
Let's move on and talk about SBI Cards. Ashish, this one had not done much over the last 1-2 years. 6 months, even in terms of when you look at the charts, not done anything in terms of returns. But finally, seems like some bit of a green and some bit of returns is managing to give in the last 1 month. What should we be expecting going on from here? Is it a turnaround finally for SBI Cards?
Yes, it looks like, because after a long time, after maybe 2 weeks of consolidation, it's shown a very strong rise in today's session and is sustaining there. So looks like there is going to be turnaround, and it is also broken above the trendline resistance, which was maintained for around 3-4 months now. So the overall tone is changing from downside to the upside, and it's a good entry with a very promising risk reward that we can see here. So one can create long position in SBI Card, aiming for the target of around 840 on the upside, and on the downside, very important support is placed around 740 levels.
All right, moving on then. Ashesha Sugar as a pack is in focus, no doubt. Not all of them are buzzing in trade today, but why are they in spotlight?
Continue to be in focus for second consecutive session. Remember, they had reported stellar gains in yesterday's trading session, but they've reversed most of the gains that they reported yesterday. Remember, reports suggested that India could mull additional sugar exports for sugar season 22-23 by about 1 million tons. Currently, they've been capped at 6 million tons up till May 2023, but there was buzz that it could be extended further, and total export cap could be raised to 7 million tons. In fact, we also spoke to the management of Balrampur Chini earlier in the day, and the management said that government will decide on relaxing export cap at the end of March or in the first week of April. They also said that they've made representations to the government to relook at juice-based ethanol prices. Apart from this, global sugar prices are also nearing 7-year high levels, and this is on account of supply crunch that we are seeing in the global sugar market. Of course, on the back of this buzz, the stocks were buzzing in yesterday's trading session, but they've reversed most of their gains, and all of them are under pressure in today's trading session.
Let's move on to stock number 26, and that's Cobra Extrusions. That's in focus. Well, that's it. The company said that they've acquired 100% of equity in Coalsite Energy Private Limited for a total consideration of around rupees 10,000. on 8th of March. Now, Coalside Energy Private Limited will be used as a special purpose vehicle for setting up a new manufacturing plant in North India for manufacturing lithium-ion batteries, as earlier intimated to the stock exchange as well. They had made this announcement also coming in on 8th of February. Today, on the back of this news flow, we are seeing that Cobra Extrusions is in focus and buzzing in trade as well.
Right. Moving on, Karur Vysya Bank, Ashish, the reason why this is making to your list today, are the technicals showing that there will be an improvement in Karur Vysya Bank, will be a good one to look at in the mid-cap banking space?
Yes, if you look at the volumes especially, the volumes have picked up significantly in today's session. There is some selling pressure from the highs, but I think the stock is getting ready to give a very strong breakout on the upside. And it can even cross the previous high of 115, which it made some time back. So overall, the stock looks bullish to me, formed higher high, higher lows formation, indicating a positive trend as per Dow theory. So 115 can be the target for this stock. On the downside, 96 can be placed as a very strict stop loss.
All right. Vinny?
Okay, let's move on and talk about Power Grid then. This stock is in focus as well. Why is that so? They came out with an announcement where they have been declared as a successful bidder under the tariff-based competitive bidding to establish interstate transmission systems for transmission system strengthening scheme for evacuation or power from solar energy zones in Rajasthan under the phase 2 party on a build, own and operate and maintain project as well. The letter of intent has been received by Power Grid Corporation on 7th of March, and the scope of the project comprises of establishment of 765 kV DC transmission lines along with associated line base in the state of Rajasthan. So on the back of that, we've seen some up move coming in on this one, but given up all its gain as of now and down 0.8%.
Right, that's Power Grid for you, giving up all of its morning gains. But Ashish, GE Shipping, do you think that this one will continue to march ahead?
Yes, it looks like, because it showed a retracement to the extent of 61.8, found the support at the Fibonacci level and bounced back from there. So looks like post some consolidation here, GE Shipping can move towards the level of 680 on the upside, and the support for the stock is at 580 levels.
Okay, that is GE Shipping for you all. Keep an eye out on those levels. But on that note, we're absolutely out of time on this edition of Market Fatafat. Thank you so much, Ashish, Vamakshi, as well as Ashesha for joining in with us. And it's a goodbye from Sharon, myself, as well as the team who put the show together.